Kamusta? My name is Erica, and with making this video, I hope that I get to connect with other people regarding my growth journey, and I hope that in that way I could grow together with people who watches my videos.
Just a caveat, I'm not a professional psychologist or what. I didn't even study psychology. I just read like 100 of self-help psychology mental books and watched like hundreds of YouTube videos about it. For today's video, I'm gonna share with you some lazy things you could do to be productive. The first one is to take a nap or tulog. There's actually a study around this that you probably experience this yourself as well, that in the morning or like when you wake up, that's when your energy is and motivation is at the highest, and along the day that goes down. So it's actually strategic to take a nap between your day. So for example, if you wake up at 8 in the morning, it's actually best to do the naps, the power naps, around 1 to 3 p.m. and for maximum benefit to do it for like 15 to 20 minutes. And I'll link in the description below how you could calculate the best time for you to take a nap. So those actually like power naps, as you might have guessed, like kind of replenish your energy to, especially if you're doing a lot of things, replenish your energy for the other things you have to do for the day. Then the second thing is what we call abutin. What I mean by this is like you have to want to create less friction in the things that you want to do or want to cultivate, and then like more friction or gawin mong mas hassle yung mga bagay na you want to avoid doing. So for example, if you don't want to grab your phone and then scroll to social media pagising mo, you can put your phone like away from you in a position na ang hassle kunin or ang hassle gamitin. And for example, as an alternative, you want to cultivate the habit of like reading a book once you get up in the morning. And so you could put your book at the nearest from you as much as possible. And for example, if you have to exercise the next day, what you can do is like prepare the stuff that you would need, probably gym clothes or gym equipment, so that when you wake up in the morning, it's actually easier to go to gym because you are all prepared. So basically what we're trying to do here is to like take advantage of pagiging tamad natin. So if, for example, kahit tamad ka, ayaw mo nang masyadong gumagalaw or lumayo, ang tendency is you'll get something na mas malapit sa'yo. Or this also applies na if something is really parang boring, you could apply that creating less friction by rewarding yourself after or before or during doing them, or make it something enjoyable. So for example, if you're studying and if you like music, you could probably like play music while you're studying. So basically creating less friction as possible so that you would enjoy and do the things that you want to do. Create more friction, make it harder, make it boring for the things that you don't want to do. And then next thing is what they call madaliin or madali, and that simply means like to simplify or make things easier for you. The basic example for this is like in studying. Instead of like cramming or like studying for hours and hours and hours, you could actually make studying easier for you like by doing it in like small increments of time. So this is actually the famous like Pomodoro technique. If you're not familiar with it, it's sort of doing small increments of like time to study, for example 20 minutes and then a break in between the intervals. And so in that way you kind of like making less overwhelming for you. And then for example, this also applies in if you have to like read or study like 3 chapters, and that can seem overwhelming at first, and then so you probably don't want to start and you don't know what to do, you don't really feel like doing it. You could actually start with just like the first page or first paragraph or like a first chapter and then work your way through it. So basically making things simpler for you, because if something is like small, it's easier to digest, right? If you have this big task, you just have to chunk them into smaller pieces so that they are more manageable and less overwhelming for you. And then next thing is to automate. Now we live in like a really technological world, and like probably the first world or like the rich country are way ahead of us, but like even so we still have access to a lot of technologies here as well in the Philippines. What you can try to do is like automate a lot of things. So what I mean by like productivity when at the start of the video is like doing things or doing a lot of things. And so you could actually like, for example, if you have to pay bills, you could actually do it on your phone. If you have to do groceries and stuff, you could actually do it on your phone. And if you don't want to prepare your meals and you have to eat, you could actually do that on your phone to just know how to explore it a bit. And then the other way is like, for example, for household chores, for example, if you don't want to do the laundry or the dishes and stuff, there's actually a lot of technologies for that. For example, we have this like washing machine, because we're not really fond of like washing our clothes. And so we have this like washing machine that you put there your dirty clothes, and then it will do all the washing for you, and then it will just like kind of spout your clean dry clothes. So if it's possible and you have the money for it, then do automate. And then D is for don't do anything. So if you really don't feel like it, don't do anything. Especially if you're like young and stuff and you can afford to not do anything, then don't do anything. But don't beat yourself for it. So there are a lot of people, especially those with like toxic productivity, na hindi nakokontento or parang hindi mapakali pag wala silang ginagawa. But don't be like those people. If you really don't want to do anything, or if you don't really feel like it, don't do anything. Especially if you're from like a busy week or busy day or even BCR. Kasi when we're so busy, we kind of tend to neglect ourselves. Like, di tayo nakatulog ng sapat, or di tayo nakakain ng tama, or di tayo nakapagpahinga. So yung stress natin nag-build up, and then yung body natin dahil kulang sa rest and nutrients na kailangan, mas tired yung feeling natin. And in turn, mas less motivated and less yung energy natin to do things. Kaya mas tamad tayo. So if you can, don't do anything. Take that rest, and like sometimes you'll see yourself na mas replenished, or mas energetic to do or mas with more energy to do the things you want to do. Kasi you feel like you have this freedom kung kailan ka mag-work and kailan ka mag-rest and stuff. And you feel less forced and less pressure to do the things because you can take a break and stuff. And so for like a bonus tips, style lazy thing is what we call systems. I know if you're not familiar with like the productive world, this might seem like a foreign or like an alien language to you. But like, what do we mean by system? System, first thing when we hear it, we kind of think of like a technical stuff, like a machine or like a program of software, and it can actually the same thing when it comes to like your behavior or like psychology. So when we hear a system in technical terms, it's sort of like things that are doing the same thing with less or little human intervention. And then how that applies to your like behavior or human behavioral psychology is like when you repeatedly do something over time, it becomes something you automatically do with less like conscious thought, effort, or motivation at all. So for example, when you are young or probably some point in your life, you probably had this instance in which like when you sleep at the same time every night, it becomes easier to sleep at the same time every night and wake up almost at the same time every day. And so some people attribute that to our body clock, but it kind of actually applies to a lot of things in our life. When you repeatedly do something, it becomes something over time that is easier for you to do and something you automatically do. If you want to learn more about this stuff that I talked about, and if you haven't yet, you could try reading Atomic Habits. It's really a cool book, and I know it's widely popular, so I'm sure some of you might have already read it. And then that's it, folks. I hope to see you again in my next video. See you around. See you around.